back wasn't Facebook yet, so just trying to get it in there.
What do we call it, monotasking.
Oh, no.
Sir!
I was gonna ask you,
Yeah, I know
when you
that.
posted my talk on Facebook, or I mean, not on Facebook, but on YouTube, did it go viral?
Yeah.
It did.
Mhm.
What kind of royalties should I expect?
Well, it's just that everybody suggested a grade I give you.
I
All
put
the-
in there
all
like
the
8
dislikes.
times and a different thing. Give him an F. Hey, this is Bob from Sweden.
They said it's a fine talk, give them an F for fine. No, nobody got that high.
No.
So it's not posted out yet.
Oh, that's
It's
okay, I'm
in the
just
works, it's on the list.
playing
And
around.
it'll have to be posted unlisted, but I'll post it public if you want. Yeah, I'll post it public. You get a following. Yeah.
It'd be nice to post on your Facebook page and just ask people what the suggested grade is.
Oh, jeez,
It's not, yeah, it's not Facebook, but at YouTube, you can move it over.
yeah. Got 50 seconds on your bet.
Yeah, I'm comfortable, I'm comfortable. Hi, Yano. Yayo. That's your nickname, Yayo.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be easier to pronounce than that Yano. Steph, do you want computer?
No. I do not have a slideshow for us.
That's
This will be
fine.
a straight up talk.
Straight up, this is straight out of the west.
And we gotta bet you wanna use your notes as a podium, so you can't use your notes as a podium.
Hey, don't.
I actually apologize, and I am absolutely going to use my notes. My brain is not working very well today. I have a headache,
Was that
snottiness,
sound
so
to say that? To benefit my
I am
favor?
absolutely good. My hard drive is not online, Brian. So
I was just
Need to upgrade your RAM over there.
no, my internet connection is running way slow today.
What a bunch of nerds.
I have no idea what they're talking about right now.
That's pretty nerdy right
Yeah.
there.
It's got that slow DSL line.
One of the best
Someone picked up the
compliments I
phone.
got on the math course was at the end, somebody said, I've become a nerd, and I like it.
Nerd power.
Ayano, are you
Yes.
ever going to become a nerd?
I am kind of.
Oh, yeah. That's very honest. You're moving.
Almost every class I've been to, she's in class. She is a
She
nerd.
did an outstanding job in the computer programming. She has a natural talent for it. If I may say that about her.
Not that kind of nerd, right?
So 2 minutes and we'll push it. It's snowing.
What?
You're joking.
Yeah.
It's supposed to snow today.
Really?
Yep. Not you pie, just
Not that
just
cold.
discretionary.
Mm. That's why it's so different.
Well, on my time is the
Where
most.
Mine,
are you
yeah,
from?
mine's
You're from
coming up.
Hatch or-
It's coming up quick.
Okay, yes.
I got
But
50
usually
seconds
the
on mine.
Misawa is much colder than Hachi, so.
It is, there's usually a lot more snow here
Yeah.
in this area. True statement.
So 60 seconds and Mike's like,
I'm not, I'm right here. I was sneezing earlier today.
that's right, you came in right after you were no longer needed to move the desk.
Yeah.
Well, you look-
Yeah, it
I
was
was
me.
watching through the window,
Hey,
and
look.
seeing Sam, are you done
Yeah,
yet? Are
you're
you
420.
done? And he moved in.
That's, I mean, I'm
Oh,
lucky I broke away before 6 today.
You love every minute of it.
really thought I was gonna be like, man, I'm gonna miss class today. So then I was like, nope, I'll take care of that after class, so after this, I go back to work.
I like your priorities.
That
Okay, 10
sucks.
seconds, we're gonna start, so I'm gonna focus in on that.
I feel like that always.
Okay, so are there
I
any?
know, I remember those days, dude.
Okay, we're on. Are there any outstanding questions or even not outstanding questions? Routine points, comments, remarks to make? Okay, we've got a full agenda tonight, so with nothing else being said, I'd like to defer to our star speaker. And I'm with the rest of you. I've forgotten what his topic was, so we're going to rely on him heavily.
Who won?
It's a split. It's a,
Yeah, it's a
well,
split.
Mike, you nailed it.
That's a split.
Nailed it, Mike.
That's a split pot.
Okay, well, okay, so we'll just continue from there. Since I also don't know the title of this talk, we will rely on our speaker to clearly give a title and some words about what it's
As
called.
per the rubric.
As per the rubric. I mean, you actually read that, my God, that's.
Oh, yeah, we spent a lot of time on it, of course we read these things.
It's no way.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so my talk today is on the ethics of zero-day exploit reporting. Okay? And I understand that the words used in that title take some explanation. So first I'm going to give you a background story to see where these exploits are used. Then I'm going to go ahead and explain what these exploits are, these zero-day exploits are. Okay? And then we're going to look at some of the ethical concerns, 3 to be specific, ethical concerns surrounding the reporting of these 0 days. And then we're going to go ahead and sum up and conclude. All right. In 2010, a computer virus had infected the world. It came to the attention of Symantec, which is one of the world's largest security companies for internet, right? They own Norton Antivirus, Norton Internet Securities. You guys might use these products at the house. And they deal with hundreds of viruses every single day. Now, Eric Cheng was tasked with exploring this virus. Him and his team of computer scientists are top-notch, really good at what they do. They took 2 word fragments that were inside the code of this computer virus, and they put them together, and they came up with the name Stuxnet. That's what they decided to call this new virus. Okay? And this new virus was nothing like they'd ever seen before. Right? These guys are elites in their field. They are used to dealing with computer viruses on every single day. They can usually deconstruct a computer virus in a matter of minutes and come up with a fix for it for Norton Antivirus to get upgraded. But after a month of researching this virus, they had only barely scratched the surface. It was 20 times larger than anything they've dealt with in the past. It was very densely coded, kind of like your DNA when it wraps up inside a chromosome. After 6 months, they learned a few things about this virus. It had first appeared in Iran. It had multiple checks and balances that targeted it towards specific Windows-based computer networks. Okay, so it was specifically targeted. It was even more specifically targeted. It was targeted for small computers that ran on these Windows networks that controlled things in the real world. Specifically, what these things controlled, what these small computers controlled, were centrifuges. Centrifuges for weaponizing uranium. All right? What this virus actually did to these centrifuges was cause them to speed up or slow down. They'd turn at a different frequency than what they normally did. And this would cause them to vibrate and self-destruct. Like I said, this virus was the first virus that has real-world implications. It destroyed things in the real world. Okay? It used stealth. 13 days, which is the normal cycle for a centrifuge to get filled up with uranium for enrichment. And then it would execute its program, speeding it up, slowing it down. And it would also report back to the operators, the people who control these centrifuges, that everything is normal. No problems here. We're spinning at the right speed. Don't worry about us. And it also put in a piece of code that even if the operators found out that there was something wrong with these centrifuges, it deactivated the shutdown. They could not shut down these centrifuges. So they were going to self-destruct. They absolutely were going to self-destruct. But really what made this program powerful is that it had not one, but 4 zero-day exploits in it. Okay? 2 of them were how this program propagated through the networks, through different computer systems. And the most powerful part of this is that the computer system that this virus targeted was not attached to the internet. And these zero-day exploits allowed it to get on this network. Okay? So, what is a zero-day exploit? It comes down to this. Zero-day exploits are flaws or bugs in a computer program or software that the manufacturer or security companies, Google, Apple, Symantec, all of these people, Microsoft, don't know that this flaw or bug exists. So they've had 0 days to work on a solution for it. That's where it gets its name from. 0 days to work on a solution. So these are called zero-day exploits. Nobody knows about them. Zero-day exploits are very rare. All right? Out of the thousands of computer viruses that we look at, see each year that come up, maybe only 20 zero-day viruses, zero-day exploits, surface. And this Stuxnet program used 4 of them, 4 different zero-day exploits. Zero-day exploits are the gold standard for hackers because there's no defense against them. Every hacker wants one. They want to be able to have no defense going into a system. Makes it easy to get in there and control things. And zero-day exploits can be very, very simple. All right, so in 2013, AT&T was hacked through their website. And the zero-day exploit that was involved there, the guy simply logged onto his account and he noticed in the address for his account, when he got to his account webpage, there is a number. Okay? For example, say it's 31415, right? He went to that number in the address and typed in 31416, and it took him to somebody else's user account. Very, very simple. That's all he hit. Wow, there's a number there. Let's change it and see what happens, right? So they can be very, very simple. So because of this, their simplicity and how rare they are, well, we've come up with something called zero-day reporting, where companies and manufacturers pay rewards for these 0 days. Okay? They want people to report them as soon as possible because the sooner they can start working on them, the sooner they can get fixes out. They offer these big rewards and bounties. Before Stuxnet came out, the biggest reward for a zero-day bug was about $100,000. Since Stuxnet came out, Apple has been offering rewards up to $1.5 million for zero-day exploits. Okay, and of course, with zero-day exploits, there are concerns around whether or not they should be reported or when they should be reported. So, looking at 3 questions that I've cherry-picked, of course, for this talk, will show us some of these concerns around zero-day reporting. Right? The first of which is, should people report 0 days with or without monetary incentive? If somebody uses a talent or takes their time to find a zero-day exploit, do they have the right to be compensated for that? Yes. As a liberty, they have the right to work and profit from it. We learned that in our ethics class. If someone knows of a zero-day exploit, could they be ethically bound to disclose it to the company to fix it? Using utilitarianism, the answer again is yes. Fixing these bugs is so important in our modern day world that an attack based on them could cost thousands of deaths. Remember I said Stuxnet was a very targeted attack. It would have been a lot easier for the programmers to, instead of trying to overrun centrifuges, overrun electrical power generators, or dams, or nuclear power plants. It's less specific and easier to get to. So fixing and patching these systems that we're relying on is definitely the greater utility, the greater good. The second concern we're going to look at is, should companies give security warnings before they have a fix to a zero-day, right? Or you can look at it a different way. Do we as the users have the right to be informed about the products we use? Are they safe? What risk is associated in using them? Again, the simple answer to this one is yes. We do have that right to be informed about the products we use. It goes to our own safety, health, and wellness. But what if telling us increases the risk that hackers will find and use the zero-day before they get a fix to it? For example, Norton Antivirus issues a warning for Wi-Fi. We suggest that people stop using Wi-Fi. All right, so some people are going to stop using Wi-Fi. Most people are going to not. And they're going to continue using Wi-Fi. But hackers will see that warning and say, whoa, there must be something going on with the Wi-Fi. I bet I can find something wrong with that Wi-Fi. So it gives them a better chance of finding this zero-day and then executing on it. In this example, companies have to use act utilitarianism. Most zero days don't cause a big risk to the public. And that's why there's different bounties for different levels of zero days, different rewards. And the ethical determination needs to be made on a case-by-case basis. And the final thing we're going to look at is, should governments pay bounties for 0 days? Should governments pay bounties for 0 days? Now this is interesting. Last year, DoD started a program called Hack the Pentagon. And they're awarding up to $150,000 for 0-day exploits on their system. The ethical implications are clear from the start. What if North Korea finds a 0-day and wins the prize? Then our own tax dollars are helping to fund cyber warfare activities of a foreign nation. Or it could be used as a propaganda exercise. North Korean hackers are superior to all the efforts of the US government. Isn't that a great headline? Yeah. Well, the DoD anticipated this as well, and they restricted competition to people that held a valid social security number and were willing to submit to background checks. But by restricting the competition, they chose a risk-adverse principle of ethics, because they preferred to do the least harm to either the nation's reputation, or to the nation's reputation, excuse me. But overall, this answers the question of should governments have bounties? Again, the answer is yes. It helps to incentivize the reporting, make their government systems more make the government systems more defensible. So in conclusion, just looking at these three issues, we can see that there is positive ethical consensus that the reporting for 0 days is a good thing. One might even go as far as saying that there is an ethical imperative to report these threats to sustain the liberty of life. America is one of the richest, most highly industrialized and computerized nations in the world. And we have the most to lose when it comes to these 0 days being used against us. So it's very easy to see that reporting these 0 days is in our interest. Thank you very much. And I'll open the floor to questions.
I find it was perhaps the use of them, the secretive, furtive use of them that enabled them, if them, to get into Iran. There's a little bit of inconsistency there. They're asking the general public to report them.
Let me grab my Mountain Dew here real quick. Absolutely, and I'm glad you caught that. So Stuxnet is the best and first example of state governments using a virus to perform an attack.
Careful,
a
is that
real attack.
alleged or proved?
Alleged.
Got it.
Alleged. Not even assumed. There is a lot of circumstantial evidence. A lot of circumstantial evidence. And again, very interesting. One of the resources I used for this was a documentary that I didn't know about before when I chose the topic. It's actually called 0 Days. I highly recommend it. Some of it is speculative, but there is a lot of good facts in there, and they do draw very good conclusions from it. Yes, so back when Stuxnet came out in 2009 and 2010, one branch of the government may or may not have been executing this. Another part of the government, Homeland Security, stood up an entire cyber division because of this and started fighting against it. Yes, we can absolutely see the concern of us fighting ourselves over this sort of exploit, or virus-driven exploit.
Yeah, so they could not even tell their other agencies it was so secretive.
Again, a lot of that is speculation. But it's very, very sound speculation. So if you deconstruct Stuxnet, there's only a couple of agencies in the world that, number one, have a concern about Iraq having nuclear weapons, and number two, have the government have the power to create a virus of this complexity. The resources and mental prowess. After watching that video, I didn't understand exactly how scary it was, and I've lived through mutually assured destruction. I mean, it has real world implications. So.
And we're vulnerable also?
Absolutely. And the more 0 days that are out there, the more vulnerable we are. So the difference between this and maybe a nuclear weapon would be that it is very hard to make a nuclear weapon. Iran's been trying to do it for 20, 25 years, right? It's very easy to make a computer virus.
Oh, not at this level of sophistication.
Yes, but now remember, 2010, this level of sophistication is now in the public domain. Stuxnet is in, I literally can go download it right now, and we can have a copy of Stuxnet.
But it's been blocked. The flaws
Mostly.
are repaired, yeah.
Mostly, but the code, it has a signature now.
Yeah.
And some of the 0 days, if not all of them, have been plugged. The other two were a little bit less important. They had to do with user permissions on a network. The first two had to do with the propagation of this virus. So one of them was, and the most important one was, a exploit in USB thumb drives. Remember around 2010, when the government said, hey, you are no longer allowed to plug in a USB thumb drive to a government computer.
It's actually important.
It was right around there.
Because it happened right after that individual walked out with classified information down the vault. They came out and initially said you can no longer use US. And then they said, well, we'll give you authorization. And then
Here's the thing though, he walked out of the vault, that guy, and I forget his Chelsea Manning now or something
I
like
was
that?
younger than him.
Yeah, young girl now. So Chelsea Manning, he walked out of the vault with a CD. Out of CIPR with a CD. You were never allowed to go on the CIPR network with a thumb drive. The actual thumb drive thing did come about right around that same time that Stuxnet was discovered. And if you go back and look at the Stuxnet code itself, it was probably actually running around since 2007.
Well, are standard armies and weapons potentially obsolete? Can a country be crippled and overrun overthrown via computers?
Sure.
100% to the point of surrender? I mean, you don't surrender until the country's occupied, but if you have no communications, no organization at all left.
I would go one step further. So remember we talked about that how targeted this attack was. What if it was less targeted? What if this thing destroyed generators for power plants? What if this thing destroyed oil refineries? What if this thing was used to destroy, I mean, realistically, this is nuclear weapon capability. If you destroy a country, an industrialized country's power grid, all right, it's not like just turning it off. You destroy it. It takes months, if not years, to rebuild it. In that time, that entire industrialized nation, all of their people are without power. How long can we as a society live without power? I mean, we are dependent on it for heat, for, you know, so it might mean that we as soldiers and airmen are becoming less important. Yes, we always need people to occupy the land. But if you've destroyed a nation and killed off most of its population and it can't feed itself, they're no longer a threat. There's nothing left for them to do.
Is there anything in place to stop adversaries from saying, okay, we'll give you 1.6 million for zero-day exploits?
Actually, no. There isn't. The free market rules.
Yeah.
But in the hacker community, zero-day exploits, that's a trophy, man.
Yeah.
That's bragging rights right there. So if you turn one in and you get your name up in lights saying, hey, this dude won 1.5 million, 1.5, 1.6, it doesn't really matter. The fact that you, and the 1.5 million one is an interesting one. Apple never used to give bounties. 1.5 million is from Apple, and it is for a wireless jailbreak of their new iOS 10. And that's the highest bounty ever offered.
What's a wireless jailbreak?
All right, so wireless jailbreak is over Wi-Fi or over Bluetooth, or, you know, not connecting any wires to their iPhone.
All right.
So wireless. Jailbreaking is cracking the security encryption for the base operating system. So now you can go into the base operating system and make changes on your iPhone.
Keys to the kingdom.
Yeah, basically. But that's $1.5 million. Nobody's done it yet, but somebody will eventually. Just last year in South Korea, at the big expo that happens in March, the big technology expo, where a lot of companies release their cell phones. Google Pixel, the Google Pixel is their latest, you know, top flag. Brought it and released it there, and as part of it, they ran a small competition to see if anybody could crack the latest Pixel's phone. It was cracked. It was cracked in under a minute. It was not wireless. It was a wire plug-in crack, but it was done by a Chinese state-sponsored team, and the money involved was pittance and maybe $10,000. You know, it was just a
Fame.
just fame,
Hackers
basically.
are fame-driven. It's
Yeah,
ego-driven.
yeah. So it's quite amazing. But the resources of Google into their Pixel, along comes a team of 10 dudes and cracks it in about a minute.
I mean, top
They're
Chinese
elite.
team
I'll
is,
give it. They are hackers. They are elite. So yeah.
Okay, outside question, you call it Stuxnet, was that the word?
Stuxnet. S-T-U-X.
Was Stuxnet's an act of war?
Interesting. We don't really have policies or laws on that, do we?
Well, suppose we went into this centrifuge with rocket-propelled grenades and blasted them out. Is that an act of war? Does it have any different results or disintegrate all over the room if you do it with Stuxnets?
Yeah, Stuxnet. So,
Is it an act of war?
I would say yes.
ethically,
How come we're not at war
Take
with it?
that, the United States would take that as an act of war.
Hell yeah, they would.
To some sort of
Hell
United-
yeah, they would.
But could we substantiate the loss of American soldier lives in retaliation for a computer virus?
I think it depends what the virus did. Now, if you say it took out our power grid, then I say yes, we would be able to.
Took out our power grid. The virus took out our power grid. How many would support the loss of a family member for a virus that took out your power grid?
I don't quite understand the question.
Yeah.
Loss of a family member.
Yeah, the death as a member of a fighting service that retaliated for this, boots on the ground and got killed.
So I think, I believe a lot of that is cause and effect, so
Well,
they take out our
how
power.
many would rather say, well, let's retaliate with cyber war of our own, not with boots on the ground?
Well, at that point, would we be able to?
If we're not, then we did not have preventive planning in place.
Exactly.
Then I'm sure we do.
This Stuxnet was a Pandora's box. It
Yeah,
really
yeah,
did.
everything's
It is a
opened up.
Pandora's box
Right.
of what can and can't be done.
Okay,
What
how,
should-
how about a secret spy goes to work for Microsoft and deliberately creates a zero-day exploit, known only to him and his country, potential scenario?
That's a damn good question, isn't it?
You're gonna do a little movie on that one, huh?
We could make a movie on that one.
But I would say, yeah, because depending on, as far as the active war is done, depending on when they shut down the power grid and what was actually hit, because I don't think you'd be able to take out the entire United States power grid with one. It would be rough, it may be possible, nothing's impossible nowadays. But if you did it in like the northeastern states during the dead of winter, how many people are gonna die because they can't get heat? So I think people would fully support, in fact, at that point in time, they may even equate it to it.
Well, I think there would be no need. If a foreign country took out our entire power grid, they'd declare war. They're gonna follow it up with something else. I mean, it's not just a nuisance act that they're doing, so I think that it's a mute question.
So, yeah, excellent. And the reason why, when I first started writing this, my thinking of ethics and thinking of what this subject was gonna be about, really drove more along these lines, okay? More along the lines of war in the world. But after I watched that documentary, 0 Day, I didn't want to come close to being accused of plagiarizing because I literally lined up a lot of this stuff myself. But I highly recommend the video. One of the outcomes of that attack was that in Iran, after Stuxnet was discovered it was an attack against Iran. There was a rallying cry. They created their own Iranian cyber warfare unit, and just about every one of the young hackers in that country signed up.
Oh, yeah.
And within months, there was an attack from Iran substantiated on the US banking system. Now, it was not a very sophisticated attack. All it was a denial of service attack, so they were using other computers around to ping our banks so that people couldn't get into banking. Little bit of annoyance, but it was a retaliation for it. That's the risk we run there. How much damage, so say we did do it along with Israel, say we did execute this thing. There's another piece of circumstantial evidence that it was us or Israel or both of us together. Oh, by the way, in 2010, right where Stuxnet is up and running and doing its thing as hard as it can, and when it got discovered, there was a couple of assassinations in Iran on their nuclear weapons experts carried out by the Israeli security forces, Israeli CIA.
They assassinated the Iranian.
Assassinated Iranian
For
nuclear
what
scientists
reason?
because they were nuclear scientists.
Just to level the field,
Yeah, just to get, you're a player, you're gone. I mean, Israel does not want anybody else in the region to have nuclear weapons. I mean, 81, they bombed Iraq's reactor. 1981, they carried out an airstrike in Iraq, destroyed their nuclear reactor and their nuclear weapons program. In the 2000s, Israeli destroyed a nuclear facility in Syria. That actually happened in early 2000s and didn't come out until 2010, 2012. So yeah, they are very active about not letting other countries
So
have
did it
nuclear
say
weapons.
how it went from Wi-Fi onto the signal network that wasn't attached to it?
Absolutely, so,
Yeah, I was
excellent,
curious about
that's the zero-day exploit that, is the most powerful. It was through thumb drives, okay? There's a file in your thumb drives, it's a .ink file. And basically, when you plug a thumb drive into a Windows into a Windows computer, things happen, okay? Like, you automatically pops up and says, hey,
Autoplay.
what do you want to do with this file? Even without autoplay, it'll still say,
Yeah.
hey, what do you want to do with this file? It does other things, like it identifies the type of thumb drive, how much memory it has. That is all automatic. Okay, so if you rewrite or rewrote that INK file, the INK file deals with, I'm a thumb drive made by Panasonic. I am this big, I am that. If you rewrite that file and put your virus inside that file, then the computer has no choice but to execute that virus.
You're absolutely right.
And then it propagates
Yes,
through your
absolutely right.
network.
Because that's not virus screen.
Right.
That's just
Right.
direct to the
That's-
operating system, it doesn't go through the firewall at all.
No, not at all. That is straight to Windows.
Yeah.
Straight to Windows.
And then
So that
someone can
and
take
that,
thumb
that
drive,
exploit has definitely been fixed. They've fixed that exploit. So.
Insidious.
And then would someone take their thumb drive, put it in, and then it would go on to theirs too?
Yes.
Yeah, well,
And be
Yes.
transmitted.
go anywhere it
Yes.
wants to at that point,
Yes.
once it's in the operating.
Once it copies itself to the kernel, that it now tells Windows that, hey, guess what? Every time your thumb drive is inserted, you're going to rewrite the INK file
Yeah.
to say this. Yes, it absolutely did.
Mhm.
It could also spread across networks, because remember, you go onto a Windows network and it's lots of computers put together, even if it's attached to the internet or not. It would spread through the printer spool feature, which connects Windows. Default Windows says, hey, yes, I want to explore my network and see what printer devices are out there. So it would use that automatic print spool feature in Windows to spread to other computers on that small network.
I wonder if Windows periodically checks its own integrity, whether it has been written into or not.
I don't know.
I would think it
I
would be
honestly
logical to do
Maybe
that.
now.
Maybe now, yeah.
It could be.
Probably-
that
probably
could be
now.
part of the fix.
So
You
you
know?
just have to attack
Could be
that
part of
file
the
that
fix.
checks the integrity.
Could be.
Yeah, you say, no, not here, no. No, the centrifuges are still running by.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Not here. Don't look at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's also suspicion that Stuxnet, after they looked at it for a while, they went back and they found a version number. Is it version 1.1 or whatever
Oh, stop
of Stuxnet?
me.
So here's the thing, and that was the one that spread across the world. 1.1 spread across the world very quickly, embedded in almost every system around it. It really did get quite viral. But they found other versions of it, lower versions, 0.91, 0.9, 0.7, 0.8, 0.5, that were less aggressive. Right? They did not try to spread so far. They were more targeted to a smaller area. Okay? So chasing back the infiltration of the nuclear facility in Iran, they came to find out that it initially started, Stuxnet initially got into this computer and got released into the world by 5 individuals. All of them had jobs as technicians or scientists at this nuclear facility. All of them normally carry a computer or a thumb drive into work with them. And from there, those 5 individuals is where it spread from. The lower versions didn't spread very far or as fast. They were less aggressive about actual networks, like internet type networks. They were more concerned about computers and networks that were not attached to the internet.
So these 5 individuals were innocent, they were just mules?
Possible, yeah, possible.
Outstanding talk, no question about it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, class, the bar is this high. This is the standard for all future talks. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Everybody's got this thought on their face, how am I gonna match that?
Oh.
You're gonna match that.
Come on, guys, it was horrible. It had holes all through.